remember is what a marvelous, crazy idea it was to try to use recycled materials. I was always amazed how she pulled it off and put it together, because I know how difficult it is to have an idea that is unusual.
My name is Julie Lewis, and I grew up in Palo Alto, California, and I was born in Berkeley, California, and I now live in Oregon. Yeah, I've lived here for 35 years. After high school, I decided to travel the world, and I didn't think about where I wanted to go to college, and the only place I could get in quickly was Southern Oregon College. I joined an organization called Recycling Advocates and decided to pick up a research project for it, and I thought, well, how about markets for recycled materials? That sounds like a good subject. There was another person I interviewed that made speed bumps out of tire rubber, and so I went and interviewed him to talk about markets, and he said, all we do is make really boring things out of tire rubber, and could we talk about how to make soles out of recycled tire rubber? And he said, well, I think you ought to go to Bill Bowerman, and his name's in the phone book and you can just call him. And I said, really? I said, why would he talk to me? And he goes, oh, he's real friendly. Don't worry about it. Just give him a call. I made an appointment with Bill Bowerman, and I drew a little sketch of what I thought a shoe might look like that had a tire rubber sole and some kind of a plastic bag upper. And I took it to him, put his arm around me, and he said, see how I walk with a limp? And I said, yeah. And he said, the reason I walk with a limp is because I have been inhaling toxic shoe adhesives all my life, and it's wrecked my nervous system. And he said, I really want to help somebody who's trying to do something good for this filthy industry. And he said, I want to help you. And I was like shocked. That's the original prototype that Bill Bowerman made. I've had it for, 20 years or more, and I just keep bringing it with me like an old teddy bear. That's because a lot happened after this. Ugly as it is.
She really became like the rock star of the sustainability movement very, very quickly with the story of how she got involved with Deja Shoe, how she started it, really from the time she was a little girl. When other little girls were playing with Barbie dolls, she was playing with garbage and thinking about combinations of garbage and what you could do with garbage. And is really almost like a chess master, has thought about the next step and the next step and the next step and the next step and what you can do with garbage, and has come up with some incredible innovations that are now the basis for almost the entire shoe industry. Every company is now using ideas that Julie developed 20 years ago.
Bill Bowerman taught me all about the different components of footwear, and I had no idea that there were that many components. There's like a thing called a shank, and then there's the toe box, and all these things that are made of different materials, and there's probably about 18 different components, and I just thought before that there was an upper and a sole. I hadn't even thought about it. So I got really excited because a shank can be made out of metal or wood, and then a lasting board can be made out of paper or anything. And I thought, wow, a shoe is really an ideal vehicle to make markets for recycle, because there's a place for plastics, there's a place for tire rubber, there's a place for metal, wood, paper. And I thought, wow, this is exciting, because in one shoe you can have something made out of, and creating markets for all these different things. Back when I was in college, I had a roommate who was in nursing school, and she had pants made out of polyester that's a resin of plastic. And I remember she washed them and hung them over the heater, and they melted one day. And that's what first got me thinking that some textiles are actually plastics, because it never occurred to me that they were. And I started thinking at that point, well, what other textiles are made from plastic resin? And I thought about backpacks, and they're made out of polypropylene. And I thought, polypropylene. And I started researching polypropylene and discovered that polypropylene was used in the outside of disposable diapers, the outer shell. And that's when I thought, oh, this is exciting, because people are throwing disposable diapers away. What if I could get a hold of that outer shell of polypropylene and somehow make it into a new textile? So I actually found a company in Canada that was recycling disposable diapers, but not for the outer part, for the inner part, because they were cleaning it and making it into cotton rags and then using it. They sell it to mechanics to clean up oil in their garages, that kind of thing. So I went up there and said, well, could I have some of the polypropylene outer shell? Because it's not even, dirty usually. So they cleaned it up for me and gave me all of that polypropylene, and I had it pelletized by a recycler. And then I started calling all the polypropylene textile manufacturers in that little book that Bill Bowerman gave me. And when I found one, and I called them, they were the biggest manufacturers of textiles out of polypropylene. And they said, why would we work with some housewife from Oregon?
People who are ahead of their time are, sailing into the strongest headwinds, which is what she was doing 20 years ago.
Things started happening then, because my son was in the 5th grade at that point, and there was a party for the parents of the kids one night, and I went to it, and one of the dads was the lawyer for Avia Footwear, and he said, how's your footwear business going? And I said, it's a little crazy because I'm getting all these phone calls and I'm not sure what to do with it, And he said, well, I think you ought to get a management team together. And I didn't know what a management team was because I hadn't studied business or anything. And he explained that, what it was. And he said, I have some ideas for you. He said, there's a man by the name of Dean Croft, he was the chairman of Avia. And I said, Dean Croft, that name sounds familiar. And it turned out that he had just moved in across the street from me.
The shoe was really ugly, but it was incredible intention to me. There was just like an intention of making products out of trash, out of thrown away products. I was very intrigued by that. I was a great admirer of her goal and her attempts and her intention. It was very cool.
There weren't any shoe companies that were doing what we were doing, and there weren't very many companies that were focusing on sustainability and environmental health. In terms of what Deja did for the industry, is we helped move them forward to really take notice and think about what their processes were doing to the environment and the people that worked, making the shoes, and the garbage that they created. And I think that was the biggest thing we did. And I feel really proud of that achievement, and that we opened their eyes.
Innovator, entrepreneur, success story, and failure. Absolutely. It's possibly all those things. I think that's what makes it interesting, is that it is all those things.
What a tremendous idea it was. And I think it lives on. I think her name will be remembered for what she has done.
I want to show you these great new prototypes. This is the wood sole model. I really like
cool.
the shape. Doesn't it look nice?
Very cool.
Company up in Oregon by the name of Deja Shoe. They're turning trash into tennis shoes. They make a whole line of shoes from the most unlikely material. Milk cartons, polystyrene cups, old cafeteria trays and tires are used in the shoe. When manufacturers make file folders and coffee filters, the trimmings end up in the shoe. Even the canvas is recycled.
I created this shoe made out of recycled materials because I felt like there needed to be a market for recycled materials as a resource, because as we grow in population, we need to think of more innovative ways to manage our resources so that we have things for future generations.
Environmentally conscious company called Deja Incorporated is marketing shoes now, and they're made out of recycled coffee filters, plastic bags, paper bags, plastic soda bottles, old tires. They take all kind of stuff and they make shoes, and the shoes are called Deja Shoes.